And so let's have some honest conversations about divorce and second marriages. There are so many marriages ending in divorce lately. However, less people are getting married. Reason being, millennials are attaining higher education, same as women, or they are postponing getting married because they want to achieve some academics before they settle down. Also, most people are separated but not officially divorced. Now, this happens because there's a lot to pay. Divorce is expensive, right? And please share your comment below if you disagree with me, but please be kind in all your ways and in all your utterances. Also, the coronavirus pandemic led to lots of divorces that have been held up in courts but have not been ended completely or officially, and so there are so many divorces that are hanging, and pretty much these are some of the reasons why official divorce is low. However, there are people leaving their marriages as soon as they enter or as quickly as they enter. Now, how are you able to help yourself solve these challenges? And my encouragement to you is, rather than divorcing, find solutions to some of these problems that will cause divorce or that are causing divorce before you jump into divorce. Reason being, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't. And so you're leaving one relationship thinking the person wasn't communicating. Why don't you see someone? If you have tried all you can to get this person to speak with you on things and they are not speaking with you, then it's better for you to consult with a professional, a psychologist, a therapist. That's one of the ways you can solve some of these problems. Don't take things into your hands and jump into a second relationship, which is likely. The likelihood of a second marriage breaking up is very high, unless you're doing a cohabitation thing where if you get upset you just go off for a couple of months and then you call and you move back in, and that too is not healthy. Have you thought about what that person might be doing in your absence? Kind of troubling, right? And so finance problems, lack of commitment, lack of empathy, religious challenges or conflicts, infidelity, all the things that causes divorce in first marriages will be the same things that will cause you to divorce in your second relationship or marriage. And so instead of putting yourself through a second one, see if you can go for therapy and then speak on some of these things. Get someone to listen to you, a neutral ear. That's what I call therapists and psychologists, because ideally they're supposed to be neutral, guide you, assist you, support you through your challenges, And so once you're able to do that, hopefully you should have some insight into how this relationship can either go on or you come to a proper agreement to separate versus quitting as soon as you're upset and then regretting down the line. Most people who have gone through divorces always regret, and what they say is, I wish I had known. If I did, I would have stayed with my first spouse and not quit, because what this second person is doing is actually worse than what my first husband, wife did. But I don't want to quit any longer, and so I'm gonna stay. Or they quit a second one, jump into a third one, and that one is also high. It's like the probability that the third one is going to break up is even more higher than the second, And so spend a little bit of money, or spend some money, $50, $500, $200, $1,000, or pounds, wherever you are. Get this relationship to work. The first one that you got into, pay someone to help you find yourself, heal your heart, clear your head, do all the right things before you jump into a second one. Now, the first if you're going to, if let's say you've divorced, you've done all the right things before you go into a second relationship. Within 6 months, you should know that this second relationship is going to work or not. It doesn't need 5 years, because you're asking all the right questions. What's your plan for the future? What's your goal on children and marriage and in-laws, finances and credit scores? Have all these great conversations. It's very necessary. Once you're able to do that, go ahead and then get some commitment from the person. Sometimes it's okay for you to ask, but don't be too demanding. And then too, because it's a second relationship that you're going to go into, you don't want to put too much pressure, but at the same time you're asking, hey, is it okay if I do this? Can I share this? Can I do that? So that you're not making the same mistakes. Maybe the other spouse was complaining that you're always controlling them, you're being bossy, you're being this, you're being that. You want to ask people's opinions before you share your thought. And if they don't need your opinion, it's okay, accept it. Let's say they go ahead, do what they want, and then they hit a wall and then they want your opinion. Please go ahead and provide it. And don't do the, I told you so, I knew this was going to happen. That brings about a third world war. And these are the things you don't want in your relationship, right? Don't do the tit for tat thing. It's a relationship that you want to work. It's not a war. It's not sports where one must win and one must lose. If you have this mentality and you bring into your relationship, then you're going to be struggling. So I hope you're picking some tips from here and there to add to what you know already. Now, before you jump into your second relationship, here are some things you should do. Talk, communicate, ask about finances, talk about abuse, how to deal with problems, talk about commitment, all of the things that you wanted in your first relationship that you didn't get. Talk about it into detail. Just complaining to your second possible spouse doesn't mean you've solved the problem. Sometimes what people do is when they are leaving one relationship or after they've left one relationship, instead of asking and having an open communication with the new partner that they hope to settle with, they rather complain about the first one. So already you're putting out an impression of you that you are a complainer, and that is what you want to avoid. So have conversations. How do you deal with problems? Do you go and hide in your room? Do you speak on subjects? Are there certain things you don't like talking about? Have open conversations. And have you cheated on your spouse before? What led to that? And then you feel in, and the Bible says you can forgive if your spouse cheats on you, because that should be the only basis upon which divorce is official, pretty much. Now, please, let me finish. And then, if you're in an abusive relationship, you don't have to stay. I'm not saying stay. You can separate. It's okay for you to separate, whether you're a Christian or not. Separate. Both of you get help. Find your individual therapist, individual counselors. Speak with them and see if you can stop doing those things. Get the person that you've hurt and sit and have a better conversation about what happened, and make your promises and stick to them, that they won't happen again, and let the relationship move on. You don't just have to quit because somebody cheated on you. You can forgive. Forgiveness is a word. The same way we expect our Father in heaven to forgive us when we make mistakes. The same way we expect our friends, our families, co-workers, we expect people to forgive us when we offend them. The same way you can forgive your spouse if they cheat on you, unless you feel like you can't stand it, unless you feel like it's filthy to you, unless you feel like the person will never change, then the ball is in your hands. make the choice, but you don't have to necessarily divorce. It's okay for you to disagree with me. That's okay. And please leave your comments below. But I encourage you to be respectful, kind with your words and your comments, because these are my opinions. I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm just sharing what I think can help relationships last. So yeah, let's have these honest conversations, and you can make your relationship work. Nobody's perfect. You will never find any one person that is perfect in a relationship. Even for the ones you might say, oh, this is perfect, I'm happy, I met him, I met her, they have flaws as well. What I encourage you to do is include God in the center of your relationship. God created Adam and Eve in the beginning of the world, and He blessed them. He had them. He blessed them. He created them on a Friday too. And what I usually say to people is that He created them. He created the bread of heaven, and so for them to have fun and joy, that was why He made humans, right? And so jumping from one relationship to the next creates a whole lot of mental health problems, and that is what you want to avoid. And if your relationship is causing you to have a mental breakdown, please consult with someone who can support you, which would be a therapist. And I am here. I'm here available and ready to support you more than ever before. If you need links to connect with me for therapy, please let me know. You can write it below or private message me, and I'll send you to the link that you can connect me on. Also, let's just make sure that we are patient and find kind words when we are speaking and addressing things. There are 1 or 2 days where you can lose it, but that's okay, which is why I say forgiveness is very essential. Now, religion can be another thing. I'll go to this church, I won't go to this church, there is no God, there is this, there is that. Please, it's necessary to, if you can find someone who believes what you believe, that's the best option. If you don't happen to find someone who believes what you believe, but you still care about them and you want a relationship with them, have these honest conversations and explain how your kind of religion looks like, feels like. That way, it's not a surprise when you get into a long-term or permanent relationship and the person is like, oh, I didn't know you have this, I didn't know you were going to do this in your church and stuff like that. All of that, it's just a sign that you need open communication. And so I'm going to end here. I hope you have picked a thing or two, but the ultimate is divorce is not your solution. Divorce is not your answer. Rather than divorce and go find a new person, invest the time, the mental drain, invest that in your first relationship, and then make that happen. Before I end too, though, some of the things that will make your second relationship not work would be, let's say you're going into the second relationship with a whole baggage from the first one. It's going to bother you. It will never solve your problems. And so before you go into a second relationship, find out what did not work in your first one and then talk about it. Make sure you have solutions before you jump into a second one, because the probability that the second one is going to end up in divorce is also very high. Right? Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. You have any questions, you have anything you want me to address, please leave comments below and I will talk about them. Thank you for watching. Please share and I will see you again. Same time, same place, and same space. Be well. Bye.